In this video, we're going to analyze the meaning of error code E3 in air conditioning units from various brands, grouping the cases based on the most common causes. First meaning of code E3. Failure in the indoor unit fan or blower. This is one of the most frequent meanings, and it appears in brands like Carrier, General Electric, Midea, Samsung, York, Olympia Splendid, Daewoo, Westinghouse, Mr. Cool, Senville. To diagnose and fix this failure, follow these recommendations. A. Check the condition of the fan capacitor if the model uses one. B. A faulty capacitor can cause the fan to have trouble starting, spin slowly, or not work at all. C. Listen for unusual noises or check if the blower wheel is stuck. This could be due to faulty motor bearings. D. Check the fan speed sensor. This is usually a Hall effect sensor, sensitive to shaft movement. This sensor sends a digital pulse signal to the electronic control board. The pulse frequency is directly related to the rotation speed of the fan motor shaft. The Hall effect fan sensor typically has 3 thin wires, thinner than the motor's power wires. These 3 wires correspond to power supply, ground, output signal. Most of these sensors operate on a 5-volt supply. How to identify the wires? To identify the power and ground wires, energize the control board and use a multimeter set to DC voltage. Place the red and black probes of the multimeter on each pin of the sensor. When you read a steady 5 volts, the pin touched by the red probe is the power supply. The pin touched by the black probe is the ground. The remaining pin will be the signal output. With the black probe on ground and the red probe on the signal pin, and with the board powered on, manually rotate the fan without turning on the motor. The multimeter reading should vary, indicating the sensor is generating speed pulses. If the voltage does not change, the sensor may be defective. E. Check electrical connections and the fan activation system. This may be controlled by a relay or a triac. Now, the system relay contains an internal coil powered by 12 volts. But for current to flow through this coil, the ULN 2003's pin 14 must provide ground. When this happens, current flows through the coil, creating a magnetic field that closes the relay's internal switch. With the relay switch closed, 220 volts AC can pass to the air conditioner's fan motor, activating it properly. You can test the relay using a 9-volt battery across the relay's control pins. F. When the TRIC fails, common symptoms include the fan doesn't turn on, doesn't turn off, or keeps spinning continuously. To check the TRIC, follow these steps carefully. Identify the TRIC on the control board and get familiar with its pins, usually labeled MT1, MT2, and gate. Disconnect all power from the board and unplug the fan motor. Set the multimeter to resistance ohms mode. Place the red probe on MT1 and the black probe on MT2. The reading should be infinite resistance, indicating the TRIC is off and there's no continuity between MT1 and MT2. Now, reverse the probes and measure between the gate and MT1. You should get a non-infinite reading, indicating expected continuity. Then measure between the gate and MT2. You should see infinite resistance, indicating no continuity, which is correct at rest. Second meaning of code E3. Low refrigerant or very low system pressure. This diagnosis applies to brands like Electrolux, Sharp, Kelvinator, LG, Train, Gree, Argo. Hi. To detect this condition, A. Measure the compressor's power consumption using a clamp meter. An abnormally low current draw may indicate a refrigerant leak. B. Look for oil stains on the piping and connections of both the indoor and outdoor units. These stains usually indicate a leak point in the refrigeration circuit. Third meaning of code E3. Issues with indoor temperature sensors. This code may be related to the pipe sensor, evaporator tubing, or the ambient air sensor. The brands where this case appears include Trotec, Fujitsu. To diagnose a temperature sensor, follow these steps. A. Check for loose or corroded connections. B. Disconnect the sensor and measure its resistance using a multimeter set to kilo ohms. C. Verify that the resistance reading matches the values specified in the technical manual. D. If you don't have the manual, rub the sensor with your hand. The resistance should slightly decrease if the sensor is working properly. E. If the multimeter shows infinite resistance, the sensor is open. If it reads 0 ohms, the sensor is shorted and should be replaced. Fourth meaning of code E3. High system pressure or electrical faults. This case occurs in Daikin units. Error E3 may be triggered when the high pressure switch trips due to excessive system pressure, or a power failure affects the transformer, preventing sensor data from being read correctly. In this case, check the following. A. Electrical connections of the high pressure switch. B. Clean the outdoor unit's heat exchanger and verify that the fans are working properly to dissipate heat efficiently.